This is a short story by Ray Bradbury, and it's called A Sound of Thunder. The sign on the wall seemed to quaver under a film of sliding warm water. Eccles felt his eyelids blink over his stare, and the sign burned in his momentary darkness. Time Safari Inc. Safaris to any year in the past. You name the animal, we take you there, you shoot it. Warm phlegm gathered in Eccles' throat. He swallowed and pushed it down. The muscles around his mouth formed a smile as he put his hand slowly out upon the air, and in that hand waved a check for $10,000 to the man behind the desk. Does this safari guarantee I come back alive? We guarantee nothing, said the official, except the dinosaurs. He turned. This is Mr. Travis, your safari guide in the past. He'll tell you what and where to shoot. If he says no shooting, no shooting. If you disobey instructions, there's a stiff penalty of another $10,000 plus possible government action on your return. Eccles glanced across the vast office at a mass and tangle, a snaking and humming of wires and steel boxes, at an aurora that flickered now orange, now silver, now blue. There was a sound like a gigantic bonfire burning all of time. All the years and all the parchment calendars, all the hours piled high and set aflame. A touch of the hand and this burning a touch of the hand in this burning wood on the instant beautifully reverse itself. Eccles remembered the wording of the advertisement to the letter. Out of chars and ashes, out of dust and coals, like golden salamanders, the old years, the green years, might leap, roses sweeten the air, white hair turn Irish black, wrinkles vanish, everything fly back to seed, flee death, rush down to their beginnings, sun rise in western skies and set in glorious easts. Moons eat themselves opposite to the custom, all and everything cupped one in another like Chinese boxes. Rabbits into hats, all and everything return to the fresh death and seed death, the green death to the time before the beginning. A touch of a hand might do it, and the merest touch of a hand. Unbelievable, Eccles breathed, the light of the machine on his thin face. A real time machine, he shook his head. Makes you think, if the election had gone badly yesterday, I might be here now running away from the results. Thank God Keith won. He'll make a fine president of the United States. Yes, said the man behind the desk, we're lucky. If Dusher had won, we'd have the worst kind of dictatorship. There's an anti-everything man for you. A militarist, antichrist, anti-human, anti-intellectual. People call us up, joking but not joking. Said if Dusher became president, they want to go live in 1492. Of course, it's not our business to conduct escapes, but to form safaris. Anyway, Keith's president now. All you've got to worry about is shooting my dinosaur, Eccles finished it for him. A Tyrannosaurus Rex, the tyrant lizard, the most incredible monster in history. Sign this release. Anything happens to you, we're not responsible. Those dinosaurs are hungry. Eccles flushed angrily. Trying to scare me? Frankly, yes. We don't want anyone going who will panic at the first shot. 6 safari leaders were killed last year, and a dozen hunters. We're here to give you the severest thrill of a real hunter ever asked for. Traveling you back 60 million years to bag the biggest game in all of time. Your personal check's still here. Tear it up. Mr. Eccles looked at the check. His fingers twitched. Good luck, said the man behind the desk. Mr. Travis, he's all yours. They moved slightly across the room, taking their guns with them, toward the machine, toward the silver metal and the roaring light. First a day, and then a night, then a day, then a night. Then it was day, night, a week, a month, a year, a decade, AD 2055, AD 2019, 1999, 1957, gone, the machine roared. They put on their oxygen helmets and tested the intercoms. Eccles swayed on the padded seat, his face pale, his jaw stiff. He felt the trembling in his arms, and he looked down and found his hands tight on the new rifle. There were 4 other men in the machine, Travis, the safari leader, his assistant, Lesperance, and 2 other hunters, Billings and Kramer. They sat looking at each other, and the years blazed around them. Can't Can these guns get a dinosaur cold? Eccles felt his mouth saying. If you hit them right, said Travis on the helmet radio. Some dinosaurs have two brains, one in the head, another far down the spinal cord. We stay away from those. That's stretching luck. Put your first 2 shots into the eyes if you can, blind them, and go back into the brain. The machine howled. Time was a film run backward. Suns fled and 10 million moons fled over them. Think, said Eccles. Every hunter that ever lived would envy us today. This makes Africa seem like Illinois. The machine slowed. Its scream fell to a murmur. The machine stopped. The sun stopped in the sky. The fog that had enveloped the machine blew away, and they were in an old time, a very old time indeed. 3 hunters and 2 safari heads, with their blue metal guns across their knees. Christ isn't born yet, said Travis. Moses has not gone to the mountains to talk with God. The pyramids are still in the earth, waiting to be cut out and put up. Remember that. Alexander, Caesar, Napoleon, Hitler, none of them exists. The man nodded. That, Mr. Travis pointed, is the jungle of 60 million thousand and 55 years before President Keith. Okay. He indicated a metal path that struck off into green wilderness over streaming swamp among giant ferns and palms. And that, he said, is the path laid by Time Safari for your use. It floats 6 inches above the earth, doesn't touch so much as one blade of grass, flower, or tree. It's an anti-gravity metal. Its purpose is to keep you from touching this world of the past in any way. Stay on the path. Don't go off it. I repeat, don't go off for any reason. If you fall off, there's a penalty, and don't shoot any animal we don't okay. Why? Asked Eccles. They sat in the ancient wilderness. Far birds' cries blew on a wind, and the smell of tar and an old salt sea. Moist grasses and flowers the color of blood. We don't want to change the future. We don't belong here in the past. The government doesn't like us here. We have to pay big graft to keep our franchise. A time machine is finicky business. Not knowing it, we might kill an important animal, a small bird, a roach, a flower even, thus destroying an important link in a growing species. That's not clear, said Eccles. All right, Travis continued. Say we accidentally kill 1 mouse here. That means all the future families of this one particular mouse are destroyed, right? Right? And all the families of the families of the families of that 1 mouse. With a stamp of your foot, you annihilate first 1, then a dozen, then 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 possible mice. So they're dead, said Eccles. So what? So what? Travis snorted quietly. Well, what about the foxes that'll need those mice to survive? For want of 10 mice, a fox dies. For want of 10 foxes, a lion starves. For want of a lion, all manner of insects, vultures, infinite billions of life forms are thrown into chaos and destruction. Eventually, it all boils down to this. 59 million years later, a caveman, one of a dozen on the entire world, goes hunting wild boar or saber-toothed tiger for food. But you, friend, have stepped on all the tigers in that region by stepping on 1 single mouse. So the caveman starves, and the caveman, please note, is not just any expendable man, no. He's an entire future nation. From his loins would have sprung 10 sons, from their loins 100 sons, and thus onward to a civilization. Destroy this 1 man and you destroy a race, a people, an entire history of life. It is comparable to slaying some of Adam's grandchildren. The stomp of your foot on 1 mouse could start an earthquake, the effects of which could shake our earth and destinies down through time to their very foundations. With the death of that 1 caveman, a billion others yet unborn are throttled in the womb. Perhaps Rome never rises on its 7 hills. Perhaps Europe is forever a dark forest, and only Asia waxes healthy and teeming. Step on 1 mouse and you crush the pyramids. Step on a mouse and you leave your print like a Grand Canyon across eternity. Queen Elizabeth might never be born. Washington might not cross the Delaware. There might never be a United States at all, so be careful. Stay on the path. Never step off. I see, said Eccles. Then it wouldn't pay for us even to touch the grass. Correct. Crushing certain plants could add up infinite infinitesimally. A little error here would multiply in 60 million years, all out of proportion. Of course, maybe our theory is wrong. Maybe time can't be changed by us. Or maybe it can be changed only in little subtle ways. A dead mouse here makes an insect imbalance there, a population disproportion later, a bad harvest further on, a depression, mass starvation, and finally a change in social temperament in far-flung countries. Something much more subtle like that. Perhaps only a soft breath, a whisper, a hair, pollen on the air. Such a slight change that unless you looked close you wouldn't see it. Who knows? Who really can say he knows? We don't know. We're guessing. But until we know for certain whether our messing around in time can make a big roar or a little rustle in history, we're being careful. This machine, this path, your clothing and bodies were sterilized, as you know, before the journey. We wear these oxygen helmets so we can't introduce our bacteria into the ancient atmosphere. How do we know which animals to shoot? They're marked with red paint, said Travis. Today before our journey, we sent Lesperance here with the machine. He came to this particular era and followed certain animals. Studying them? Right, said Lesperance. I tracked them through their entire existence, noting which of them lives longest, very few, how many times they mate. Not often. Life's short. When I find one that's going to die when a tree falls on him, or one that drowns in a tar pit, I note the exact hour, minute, and second. I shoot a paint bomb. It leaves a red patch on its side. We can't miss it. Then I correlate our arrival in the past so that we meet the monster not more than 2 minutes before he would have died anyway. This way, we kill only animals with no future that are never going to mate again. You see how careful we are? But if you come back this morning in time, said Eccles eagerly, you must have bumped into us, our safari. How did it turn out? Was it successful? Did all of us get through alive? Travis and Lesperance gave each other a look. That'd be a paradox, said the latter. Time doesn't permit that sort of mess a man meeting himself. When such occasions threaten, time steps aside, like an airplane hitting an air pocket. You felt the machine jump just before we stopped? That was us passing ourselves on the way back to the future. We saw nothing. There's no way of telling if this expedition was a success, if we got our monster, or whether all of us, meaning you, Mr. Eccles, get out alive. Eccles smiled palely. Cut that out, said Travis sharply. Everyone on his feet. They were ready to leave the machine. The jungle was high, and the jungle was broad, and the jungle was the entire forever and forever. Sounds like music and sounds like flying tents filled the sky. And those were pterodactyls, soaring with cavernous gray wings, gigantic bats of delirium and night fever. Eccles balanced on the narrow path and aimed his rifle playfully. Stop that, said Travis. Don't even aim for fun, blast you. If your gun should go off, Eccles flushed. Where's our Tyrannosaurus? Lesperance checked his wristwatch. Up ahead. We'll bisect his trail in 60 seconds. Look for the red paint. Don't shoot till we give the word. Stay on the path, stay on the path. They moved forward in the wind of morning. Strange, murmured Eccles. Up ahead, 60 million years, election day over, Keith made president, everyone celebrating, and here we are, a million years lost, and they don't exist. The things we worried about for months, a lifetime, not even born or thought of yet. Safety catches off, everyone, ordered Travis. You first shot, Eccles. Second Billings, third Kramer. I've hunted tiger, wild boar, buffalo, elephant, but now this is it, said Eccles. I'm shaking like a kid. Ah, said Travis. Everyone stopped. Travis raised his hand. Ahead, he whispered. In the midst. There he is. There's his royal majesty now. The jungle was wide and full of twitterings, rustlings, murmurs, and sighs. Suddenly it all ceased as if someone had shut a door. Silence. A sound of thunder. Out of the midst, 100 yards away, came Tyrannosaurus Rex. It, whispered Eccles. It, shh. It came on great oiled, resilient, striding legs. It towered 30 feet above half the trees, a great evil, folding its delicate watchmaker's claws close to its oily reptilian chest. Each lower leg was a piston, 1,000 pounds of white bone, sunk in thick robes of muscle, sheathed over by a gleam of pebbled skin, like the mail of a terrible warrior. Each thigh was a ton of meat, ivory, and steel flesh, and from the great breathing cage of the upper body, those two delicate arms dangled out front, arms with hands which might pick up and examine men like toys, while the snake neck coiled, and the head itself, a ton of sculptured stone, lifted easily upon the sky. Its mouth gaped, exposing offensive teeth like daggers. Its eyes rolled, ostrich eyes, empty of all expression save hunger. It closed its mouth like in a death grin. It ran, its pelvic bones crushing aside trees and bushes. Its taloned feet clawed damp earth, leaving prints 6 inches deep wherever it settled its weight. It ran with a gliding ballet step, far too poised and balanced for its 10 tons. It moved into a sunlit area warily, its beautifully reptilian hands filling the air. Why? Eccles twitched his mouth. It could reach up and grab the moon. Shh, Travis jerked angrily. He hasn't seen us yet. It can't be killed, Eccles pronounced this verdict quietly, as if there could be no argument. He had weighed the evidence that this was his considered opinion. The rifle in his hand seemed a cap gun. We were fools. This is impossible. Shut up, hissed Travis. Nightmare. Turn around, commanded Travis. Walk quietly to the machine. We'll remit half your fee. I didn't realize it would be this big, said Eccles. I miscalculated, that's all, and now I want out. It sees us. There's a red paint on its chest. The tyrant lizard raised itself. Its armored flesh glittered like 1,000 green coins. The coins, crushed with slime, steamed. In the slime, tiny insects wriggled, so that the entire body seemed to twitch and undulate, even while the monster itself did not move. It exhaled. The stink of raw flesh blew down the wilderness. Get me out of here, said Eccles. It was never like this before. I was always sure I'd come through alive. I had good guides, good safaris, and safety. This time I figured wrong. I've met my match, and I admit it. This is too much for me to get a hold of. Don't run, said Lesperance. Turn around, hide in the machine. Yes, Eccles seemed to be numb. He looked at his feet as if trying to make them move. He gave a grunt of helplessness. Eccles! He took a few steps, blinking, shuffling. Not that way! The monster at the first motion lunged forward with a terrible scream.